Hello and welcome to another episode of Mad Dialogue with me, Michelle.
And me,
I
Skylar.
hope everybody is doing really, really well. As usual, we're just going to jump straight into it. So the other day, Skylar and I were having a brief conversation as I came across some posts recently, and it was young people discussing whether or not they should have to pay their parents' keep. Okay. And there was a lot of comments where they were saying things like, we didn't ask to be born, so why do we have to pay keep? And just other comments basically disagreeing with the fact that they have to pay keep. So I wanted to get Skylar's opinion on how she feels as a young adult still living at home. Now, right now, Skylar is at college, so she doesn't pay keep, but she's due to leave college shortly, and so therefore she has to find gainful employment in order to pay me keep so that she can remain under this roof and have the benefits of everything. So how do you feel about it, Skylar?
So, as a whole, I think, like, first and foremost, I do hear the comments of, like, I didn't ask to be here, yeah? But the grand scheme of it is nobody did. It's this vicious cycle that...
Well, we kind of did, but that's a whole nother episode. Carry on.
It's this vicious cycle that, unfortunately, we're all part of, you know what I mean? And I think, like, coming from the perspective of, I've never had an issue, it's all I've known is that, yeah, once you reach a certain age, whether, you know, we're still in college or whatever the, you know, requirements are, you're going to eventually have to pay keep. And I feel like it's never been something that, like, is, like, pissed me off or, like, you know, annoyed me or is, like, you know, oh, I shouldn't have to do this. Because I just think, like, you could easily just say, pack your bags and go. You know what I mean? Like, that's the first thing. And then second of all, if I wasn't here, what I'd be paying anyways.
Exactly.
For, like, I wouldn't get, I don't even know half of the stuff I'm getting here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, better ways to explain it. But I just don't think it's, like, that big of a deal. And obviously it depends because, like, there might be some kids who, like, their parents are trying to charge them, like, an extortionate amount. You know what I mean? Which then I understand. But, like, a little £200 a month isn't going to kill me. You know what I mean? And with all the luxuries I get included and then the odd dinner cooked for me still and all of that, you know what I mean? Like, I can't complain. But I do think, like, I think it's a bit... maybe, like, I don't know if ungrateful is the word, but the way some of these kids go on and, like, the way they're, like, scrutinizing their parents about having to pay keep, I just think, like, well, I'd love for you to just say, oh, well, F this then, and I'll just leave, and then see, you know, how, if you still feel the same, and if you'd be kind of crawling back with your tail between your legs, like, can I pay you this much, and continue to, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it's that wrong for a parent to ask. And there's some parents I see as well, where they're in the position where when they ask their children for keep, over the years, they actually save it up.
Yes.
And they, you know, give it back to them. Yeah. And I think that's an amazing thing. And that's what I intend to do. But this is a thing. But, like, it's circumstances. You know what I mean? If you can, you can. If you can't, it is what it is. Like, it's not something that I think is, like, you know, bound to be expected. You know what I mean? Like,
see from a parent's perspective, and if there's any parents watching, I'm sure you will agree with me on this one. It's a thing where how I look at it is this: when you become an adult, okay, you're eventually, or you're supposed to, fly the nest, so to speak, and then you have to take on all the responsibilities that come with being an adult. So whilst you're at home, the whole reason for you to pay keep is to give you an understanding that you have to pay your way in this world. Yeah. There is absolutely nowhere you can go and live rent free unless you're living on the street. Even in prison, they have to work.
Find people.
They have to work. Okay. Yeah. And so there's that simple example there. So in that respect, it's supposed to teach the young adult that they will have things to pay out. This is why I have sat with you guys and explained to you about incomings and outgoings and things that you're gonna have to pay every month regardless. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so the whole thing of paying keep is to enable you to remain at home for as long as you want, because you are contributing to that household and in order to benefit from things, because nothing is free. So it's therefore, how do you think I'm paying for it? Like,
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So that's why sometimes you will see videos where the adult in question is like 30 plus years old and they're expecting the treatment that they would have got when they were like 16.
Yeah.
And so therefore that's exactly the reason why you should be made to pay keep and
Yeah,
understand.
because exactly
that
though,
thing,
because let's be real, who would move out?
I wish I could live somewhere and just pay £200 a month. I'd be so happy and get all the convenience and of everything there. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Food,
because
water, heat, Wi-Fi.
This
like,
is what I'm
do you
saying.
know what I
Like, there's so
mean?
many things that comes with it, and it's like you're not even the one that has to go out and do the shopping. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just there, and I just think like these kids, they do make me wonder because some of them are older than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might be like 20 saying this, and I just kind of wonder to myself, okay, like even if you feel like when you were like 16, because I know some parents, like, you know, depending what ask them then, even if you feel from those years that like you shouldn't be paying something, by the time you at least reach like 20, 21, then do you not think like within yourself, do you not feel like a bum? And it's like, how much longer like do you honestly like plan to stay living there rent free and just living off of your parents? Because then like,
but you want the benefits of being an adult.
Yeah,
to live your life as an adult, but you don't want to pay your way as an adult.
I just don't think it's fair to the parents. And I also think in the sense where it's like, I'd love to see their mindset when they are then parents, if they choose to be. And if like, okay, even if you say you're not going to charge your kids, like, because some of them say rent as well, I don't get it, but keep, rent, whatever. What
to like, me, rent and keep are two different things. If you're paying me rent, then that means you're paying half of everything. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm giving you that thing that you're paying rent, then that means you're helping me pay for pretty much everything. Do you know what I'm saying? When you're giving me keep, it's just to, don't get me wrong, of course it helps, you know what I mean? If there's something that I need, like emergency wise or whatever, then I know that I've got that change there. But the point I'm making is that it's supposed to teach the child or the young adult how to maneuver
but I just wonder
if
their perspective will change when they have kids, and then it will come to the sense where, cool, let's say
they're going to say, you don't have to pay me,
but this is what I'm saying. And then for argument's sake they say that, then what age, like, do I wonder, like, would it be for their child to get to that they're still in their house, still not paying rent? Because of course, why would you want to leave? And then they're kind of like, oh, what, one day you're like, oh shit, like my kids, you know, 29 and they're still here and they haven't paid me a penny, like your brain's gonna be ticking over, and then you're gonna look back to when you were cussing about doing it. Because I just think, like, if you're gonna move like that, kind of like, when does it end? You know what I mean? Like,
and it's the thing, it's the entitlement. And the reason I say this is I saw a video the other day, and the dad had found a large amount of cash in the daughter's room, and he asked her where she got the money from, and she was saying from doing things on like TikTok and this, that, and the other. And he was like, so you had all this money, but yet I'm paying for your car, for your phone, for your nails. Like, do you know what I mean? And he was so like, it wasn't that he was angry in the sense that he looked hurt. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking that poor man's probably working 2 jobs. Do you know what I mean? To maintain
her lifestyle
and the rest of the household. Do you know what I mean?
That's
and
then there's her
with the money, and she'd probably heard when there might have been times where the man's stressing about money, and she's sitting there with the wad of cash and still got the barefaced cheek to ask her dad.
But that's and maybe that's another reason as well, because I don't know anybody else's parents, but I also know like how much you do for me, like past the bare minimum mark. You know what I mean? Where it's like another reason why I don't think I have any issue with when my time comes to pay keep, because I feel like, as you said about that dad there, like from you're clothing your child and feeding your child and there's a roof over their head, your job's pretty much done, you know what I mean? But then doing that added extra, like paying for nails to be done, paying for hair to be done, just funding a lifestyle that is, you know, unnecessary, you know what I mean? I feel like that's really like underappreciated by a lot of kids as well, because they like honestly just feel like that's just, you know, what they're supposed to get, you know what I mean?
Like, for me as your mother, I want to be able to say, you know what I mean? If pay me the keep, that also makes you feel like you're contributing to the household, and then that still leaves you with X amount to do what you want to do with it and enjoy your life. Like me personally, I would never want any of you to leave home and be struggling. I would much rather you stay at home and get yourself stable and then do what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because I left home at 19 with a child, and it was hard. It was hard. I mean, talk about getting thrown in at the deep end.
No,
and, you know, that's cool and everything. Do you know what I mean? But the point I'm making is that's not what I would want for you guys. Do you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, there's no way you can live rent-free unless you're living on the street. Like I said, do you know what I mean?
Facts though. And I just think, because I'll be taking that same thing and charging my kids keep when they're grown, you know what I mean? But hopefully I'm in the position then where I can save it up and everything, and then when they are ready to move out, I'll be like, look, you've got all of this now that you can put down.
Yeah, that would be great.
Use, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think then you've learned your lesson of like nothing's free, but then also here's your reward. You're reaping rewards for it now. But if they complain, every time they complain about something, take it out of the safe.
Yeah, don't make me laugh. Yeah,
no, of course not.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Though, because I just think like it comes from a place of love. Because I know so many children that. And I say children because they are, but you know, with 16 and being kicked out by their mum. I had one friend that his mum literally gave him the ultimatum. He was going for an interview and she said, if you don't get the job, you have to leave. And I was like, huh? And I was like, well, wouldn't it be the opposite? Like you could stay until you get one, you know what I mean? But no, it's because she wanted the money from him. And that was one thing. But then it was kind of like, yeah, once I know you can't give me this money, you're on your own. And she kicked him out and he was in a shared room and he was struggling because he didn't have a job.
No, see,
and do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be able to sleep good at night knowing that my child's out there struggling. It's like my mum had a friend, your nana had a friend, and her son, when they hadn't seen each other for years, and then just by chance they saw each other.
Yeah.
And so they're catching up. And she told my mum and I that when her son turned 16, she told him, he didn't have no warning, she told him to pack his bags. And so he packed his bags and then she drove him to a shared house, and effectively he just had like a bed sit, as they say. So we'd have to share the bathroom and the kitchen. And she told him that she'd paid the first, like the deposit and the first month's rent, and then gave him a little bit of cash. And she said, you're on your own now. And I don't think her mum did that to her. Okay, because it's not like she followed on with and said, oh, well, you know, that's what my mum did. No, instead she said, oh, that's what I'm going to do with my second son. And it wasn't that he was misbehaving or anything like that. Her reason was he's 16 now, he's grown, he can go and make his own way.
Like he couldn't even get certain jobs because he weren't even 18. Like that's,
you know, so
you can't love your child
that's
from
how,
you do that,
you know,
to
some
them.
parents, and like you say, there's some parents that will charge their children extortionate amounts of money, which I just think, well, how is that really benefiting
in
them?
that case? Then I'd be on TikTok cussing like, I didn't even fucking ask to be here, and then this bitch is, you know what I mean?
Okay, exactly. In that case, it's justified.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
but I think from your mum's asking for a pretty little penny from you once a month, it's not that deep. You know really what I mean?
Isn't.
Like you lazy
because
little bums.
Trust and believe, if you're a young adult watching this and you have what's the word I'm looking for?
Resentment.
Like you know what I mean, you don't agree with the fact that you have to pay your parents' keep. Trust and believe that they are paying it back into you throughout the month. And then you probably don't see, you know, that odd takeaway that they get, or you know, if they want to rent a movie off of Sky Movies or
but you know what I mean? And if they're not, then
you know?
I'll get you why you're vexed and just leave them. You know what I mean? Just save up your monies and just leave in it if they're taking the piss out of you. But if you know your mum and dad, they're good to you, then just stop complaining and just give them a little piece of money. Key. Like, it's not that deep because it will all come back full circle to you. Yeah,
and if you are them parents that are taking advantage of your children,
like,
stop
fix
it.
Up. Why are you being dreadful? Because they didn't ask to be here.
Well, they kind of did, but like I said, that's a whole other episode. But anyway, on that note, we'll leave it here. But before we go, I do have one little thing to announce. It's not even a little thing, it's a big thing. My baby girl passed her driving test. Yay! So please, if you're watching us on YouTube, drop her congratulations in the comment or a like, okay? And a follow.
Thank you.
I don't ask for that often, so yeah. As always, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. And as always, I'm sending an abundance of love and light. So until our next episode, take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.